Hey there guys, I hope you guys enjoyed my intro. Sorry I've been a little bit sparse on videos. I've been playing Tom Clancy's The Division and completely forgot about YouTube because, I don't know, the game's really fun. I'll actually probably start streaming it. Hopefully my internet's good enough for that. Don't think it is, but we'll try anyway. The game's really good. I really enjoy it. There's a lot of naysayers about it saying this is wrong, that is wrong. I like it. I like it a lot, but we're not here for Tom Clancy's The Division. We're here for Project Cars, and I'm here to bring you a Ford Fusion stock car Project Cars set up at Watkins Glen International. Now this setup's interchangeable at a lot of tracks. I wouldn't say use it everywhere because there's quite a few different areas, and you also have to take into account of weather and blah 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 blah. So for Watkins Glen, this is my favorite track right now, you want to have hard slicks on. I recommend hard slicks everywhere I go. I never recommend the softs, one, that wear out too fast, and plus you can get the same results with the hard slicks as you can with the hard softs by lowering the tire pressures a little bit, and you still have the tire that lasts longer, so hard slicks most of the time. Now these are qualifying tire pressures. I'd recommend around 140, 150 if you want a racing type. This is more of like qualifying type tires, about 3-4 laps, and these things are toast. So and you always want to make sure there's a 0.06 to a 0.08 bar difference in the air pressure from the fronts to the rears, and always have the fronts lower because you need that grip everywhere you go here. And then for the brake pressure, a lot of people leave it at 100%. I lower it down to 92% on most tracks, except Willow Springs. There it doesn't really matter anyway. You don't do too much braking other than going up the hill on the I think it's the third or fourth corner, but 92% most of the time, because as I'm going to say or show you later in the video, when you head into this first corner, you have a tendency to lock up the brakes at 100%, whereas 92%, it happens sometimes it doesn't. Most of the time it doesn't, I should say. So that's why I do that. Brake balance, 60%. I believe when it starts out, it's at 68, which is way too much here. 60% to the front, that way you don't lock up those fronts again. Brake duct around 45%. Yes, your brakes are going to get very hot, and that's very good. Less chance of locking up the brakes. And they never really get hot enough here that I haven't noticed it. I've done a few 90-lap races here with the AI. I haven't noticed anything too much, so I think 45% is pretty fair. And then with downforce, this is where it gets interesting. 0.5, I'm thinking they're measuring this in inches. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe it is in millimeters. I don't know what they measure or what this is. Maybe it's the degree of what it is, but I have noticed one thing. They don't have a 0.25. I believe it is in inches. I'm going to say right now it's in inches. I could be wrong, because most everything else is measured in metrics, so I don't know. But there is no 25 or 0.25 like they use in the real-life NASCAR, so I went with 0.5. And I have a couple different ways of doing this, and so 0.5 is just the average, I guess, of between millimeter and inches, which is for the real-life NASCAR. And if you want a real-life NASCAR, by the way, you lower it down to about here, somewhere in there. And that will give you a real-life NASCAR. But since it's an ARCA car, this is where it gets interesting. You have the front very low, and then you put the back all the way up, and it creates this amazing stability that you could never ask for anything else. It's awesome. And it just drives so well. And at most tracks, I always leave this here, but at most tracks, sometimes I'll jump it up, sometimes I jump it down, depends on where I go. But for Watkins Glen, 0.5. Lateral weight bias, I always move it completely to the left for a track that has a lot of right-handers, and it's only really one corner that this messes this up on. Other than that, it also creates a good stability, and this is for your turn-in. You want it at 51%, and it does make the back end a little bit loose, but we fixed that with the alignment and suspension. But back to alignment, 27.91, and this helps with just overall the car, because this car sometimes when it gets hot or starts to heat up a little bit, sometimes it has a tendency to get loose. So with controllers, 27.91. Caster angles, I don't think I touched, but you can tell that from your own car if it's at like 3.5 or whatever it's at. I think I might have, maybe they were at 3.5 and I moved them to 3.7 or something, I'm not sure. But camber angles, negative 2.5, and they start around, I believe, 3.3, 3.1-ish. I moved them way down because it's just way too much oversteer heading into corners here. And then with the back, I moved it from 0.9 degrees to 0.1 degrees. The front's the same, and it doesn't really change its handling all that much. It's more of like a tire wear thing. I've done over long runs. It does make a difference in the beginning. I guess if you're doing short runs, it really doesn't matter all that much. It doesn't seem to affect the car that much. That is I'm on a controller. If you're on a steering wheel, it could change that completely. I don't know. And then this is where it gets interesting. This is like my favorite part of the setup for this car specifically. Is in most other cars you adjust the ride height. It doesn't change it too much. It does make a bit of a difference, but with the stock car, it's a night and day difference. Like if your back end's too loose, just bump that up a little bit. Like 1 to 2 millimeters changes the complete entirety of the car. Now I have this at 70, and you will notice some scraping for the front once in a while. At 69, it scrapes quite a bit. 70, it seems to be like the perfect median. So I keep it around there. Even at other tracks, the highest I'll ever put it is like 81. But 70, like literally the median. I'm not kidding. It's perfect. And then with the back, I sometimes keep it at 110, and then sometimes I move it around. I have these at 97 here to keep it... So it does get loose after a longer run. So for a longer run, maybe you'd want it around, I'd say 101 maybe. And then, did I have that? Yeah, okay. And then for like maybe a qualifying 97. It is pretty cool though. It just amazes me how much this affects it. Now, spring rate in the fronts is, I think, is around 180 when you start, but I switched it to 140 to give me a lot of turn-in, and that does create some scraping issues, which is why I don't go lower than 70s. I usually do lower the front spring rate a lot on this car. And then the backs I usually bring up, and I think they start at 96. I don't usually go very far at all. I go to like maybe 100 or so, but with this track, I jump it up to 113. And the rear sway bar you can't touch, and this is more of comfort. This doesn't really change the overall feeling of the car, or it does change it as far as feeling, but it doesn't really change the performance. Front sway bar actually starts at 180, but I jump it up to 200 to get rid of some of the oversteer, and it keeps it stiffer to compensate for your springs. I do go into this a little bit, or I would, but you can look at it really fast. I haven't really worked too far into the setup with this. I'm still working on it, so numbers aren't final here. But one thing I do know, if it's the back end's jumping out too much, lower it 1. Or if it's too tight, go up 1. And it's opposite with the front. These two fronts are the opposite. That's just a little tip for now. I'll do more later in another episode or something when I get all that figured out. Radiator, 50%. You could, if you're doing like a short run, jump it down to like, I'd say 21, 22. But if you're just having fun or whatever, 50% is usually where I keep it. This is a bit different. I don't remember what all the starting numbers are other than it starts you here. But I moved it down to the right one, and then you can compare this to yours. I'm not sure what it all is, but that's what I have. Hopefully that helps. And then for the fuel load, I always go up to 67% to get some nice looseness around on the car. Then as the long run goes on, it should result around this. But this is for my qualifying. It makes the car extremely tight and very fast. Like tons of speed. And that's why I keep that around here so I don't screw anything up there. And then brake mapping, it starts around 4. I don't like brake mapping at all. I usually turn it off on everything except for a few key tracks around. I turn it off because it screws your fuel consumption, and since 22.4 laps, that's a joke. So I try to make up as much as I can with this car because it's a fuel guzzler. And that's all for this setup, so we're going to go run a lap, and I'm going to show you what it does. Hopefully I'm not screwing up as much as I have been. I've had to do this video several times because I haven't played this game in like a week or two because of the division. So, second. And one quick tip is you want to kind of coast around with your first lap on these tires, especially with them being so low, is you want them to be perfect for when you start. So don't wear them out, just kind of coast around. As you can see, they're heating up very fast, just very fast. The back ends are getting to where I want them. The fronts, they're all right. Goodyear recommends around 245 on the bar pressure for the most stable, or like when they're in racing conditions, the temperature. We're way below that. Even in NASCAR, they do the same. It's way lower than it should be. Because that short run speed is everything in NASCAR lately, and I tend to disagree with that a little bit. I like them a little bit fuller. Mine are running around, I think, 15 pounds, 16 pounds in PSI. All right, so here we go. Let it stay in third to kind of get a better launch. When you head into this corner, full brake, full brake, full brake. Shift third. Whoa, I screwed that up. You should drift. By the time you're nailing it, you should drift out to the outside. I don't think I'm going to lose too much. You're already faster than you would be in a caper car. A lot of throttle control up around this. Straddle that line, or I'm really trying to concentrate, sorry. Curbing. You should be around 150 by the time you exit that corner, and then get heavy on the brakes and do not shift. Let it coast, brake, third, and then accelerate again. Hopefully you can see my HUD very clearly in the video, so you can see what I'm doing, how I'm driving it. Alright. Straddle that. Or, I guess I clip it more out of the first curbing up the hill. That was a very bad second corner, but it should be around a 107, 106. Okay, that was a bit faster. Screw my shifting, I'm all over the place. Alright, I'm gonna put up a picture at the end of this video so you guys can see it, not as in the brag. Alright, I'm gonna brake here and stop. Stall it. Okay. I am second place in the world for PS4 as of this video. I don't know, someone could have beat me by now. And you should be running on the same times. If I'm not talking, I'm concentrating, I can lay down some very consistent laps. With this setup, what I just showed you, can run about 10 laps with the tire pressures where they are. Extend them, I wouldn't say double them, but maybe around, I'd add 40s or 50s in the bars. That's where I'd be at with that. And you could run about the same amount your fuel load can go, which is exactly what you want. You don't want your tires to last any longer than what your fuel load does, because you want to be as fast as you can all day, every day. Any higher, and then you're just using wasted, or you have a lot of wasted tire that doesn't need to be used. I'll be doing maybe another setup if you guys want it for another track, because there is changes that aren't very... Why is the smoke effect still there? That's kind of weird. Anyway, there is some changes that it's more of personal preference at each track. This is basically my base for all tracks. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, subscribe. Sorry for the long wait. Like, again, the Division, I'll be doing more videos on that, and I'll see you in the next one.